State takeover, insolvency, school budget disaster. We've all seen startling headlines in recent years about some school districts across California. But what does it all mean?
We're 41st in the nation in what we spend per kid. In California, I mean, the richest state, in the richest nation on the face of the earth. And the pathetic funding that we have per pupil is something that's got to be dealt with.
With more than 6 million students and 1,100 school districts, California has the largest public school system in the country. But some school districts are struggling financially.
Will you see more enter into this general category of fiscal distress? Yes, you will.
We've enjoyed the longest economic growth period in California since World War II. Yet hundreds of school districts are cutting their budgets. So what's the problem here? The problem here is that what we're not doing in a growing economy is investing in education. We're just not doing it.
According to many in education, the problem also has to do with the state increasing the financial burden on districts at a time when many districts face declining revenue. While each district faces unique challenges, experts agree there are some common factors contributing to the budget crisis in California's schools. Factor number one, the pension system.
Most teachers are in the CalSTRS system, and Jerry Brown, the governor at the time a few years ago, realized, of course, we need to put more money into the system. So they raised the contribution for districts over time so that districts would have time to build that increase into their budget.
That increase will more than double what districts are required to contribute to employee pensions, going from 8.3% of their payroll in the 2013-2014 school year to 19.1% by 2021.
They want you to have the money today for the person that you hire today so that when they retire, the money will be there.
In his first year in office, California Governor Gavin Newsom pledged $3 billion to help offset the large increase in pension costs school districts are having to pay. District officials say it's a step in the right direction, but it still isn't enough. Contributing factor number two, declining enrollment.
About 60% of school districts in California are declining enrollment, and that's a significant issue because their revenue from the state is tied to enrollment and attendance.
Many parents in financially strapped districts are moving their kids to charter or private schools, and it's happening at a rapid pace. Adding to the financial pressure is the way schools are funded, on a per-pupil, per-day basis. For each child who misses a day of school, the district receives less money, even though they're paying the same amount for the teacher and the classroom. Contributing factor number three, the increasing costs of everything.
We are seeing increased costs on so many fronts. We're experiencing an increase in our pension costs. We are experiencing an increase in our healthcare costs. We are also seeing an increase just in the cost of doing business.
According to Sacramento Unified School District officials, those increases have put them $35 million in the red.
Currently, Sac City Unified spends 91 cents of every dollar on employee benefits and salaries, and we're trying to work with our labor partners to lower that to the state average of 86 cents per dollar, or even lower if we can.
The simple solution seems to be, well, the largest chunk of the budget are teacher salaries, so let's cut teacher salaries and we'll save the money. That's not the solution, and very rarely is.
There are consequences if they don't ultimately stabilize.
Michael Fine leads the organization tasked with keeping school districts out of financial trouble. It's called Vick Mac, which stands for Fiscal Crisis and Management Assistance Team. They work with troubled districts to find options for recovery. Districts that still struggle after several Vick Mac warnings may face what many call a state takeover. The official term, insolvency.
When a school district has insufficient cash to meet payroll, and they have exhausted all of their cash borrowing options, then that's the definition of insolvency.
At that point, the district is forced to ask the state for a loan. That loan triggers a transfer of governing authority. Until the fall of 2018, that authority was transferred to the state. That's why you hear it called a state takeover. In 2018, the process was changed, giving counties the authority and requiring them to appoint an outside administrator to govern the district.
Generally, the superintendent is dismissed, and that administrator that the county superintendent assigns then becomes the board, the superintendent, and they go to work solving the budget problems.
They look at cutting all expenses that aren't mandatory.
Higher class sizes, fewer resources for the students, all those kinds of things. And it also burdens the district with loans that take them years to pay off.
Well, state takeover would be not good for our students or families, and that's why we're trying to do everything we can to avoid it.
Officials familiar with the process say insolvency ends up costing school districts far more after paying back the loan and millions of dollars in interest. There's also concern that an outside administrator would be focused on the fiscal solvency of the district and not on the classroom.
Main concern as a parent is for the long term, the future students coming into the Sac City Unified School District.
There's been talk that if the state takes over, then we'll have a lot less money than we already do right now. And if that happens, then we're going to have to make a lot of cuts.
With all the people leaving, I mean, you're just going to be left with, schools that are not well taken care of. And then now you've got maybe less, teachers and other cutbacks, and so bigger class sizes. So yeah, it's just going to be a horrible situation.
But despite what sounds like a gloomy situation, experts in education say there are signs that the tide could be turning. They're actually optimistic.
It gives me great optimism to see a governor who says in his State of the State address, the first governor in decades to actually acknowledge that we've got a problem with per pupil funding and something has to be done about it.
Since 1991, we've had 9 school districts and 1 community college district that didn't respond to the intervention. To have 9 in 27, 28 years, I think is probably a pretty good record. It's actually a reflection that the system's working.
I believe that we are on the verge, because of all the changes we've made, of doing some really exciting things in California, differently than anywhere else in the country.